Hey everybody, a quick passage of scripture I want to share that's been an encouragement to me that I hope encourages you is Paul's letter to Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. It says, "For God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of power and love and of self-discipline." So Paul's writing this to Timothy, who's a young pastor in the church in Ephesus, which is a dark area spiritually at the time, and he focuses on a few elements, and I want to look at one specifically in this verse, and that's called self-discipline. Now, what self-discipline means within the context of this passage, it's a way of thinking for believers that allows them to have a sound and secure mind. It's controlled and disciplined by focusing on the things of God, and it's a mind that is prioritized properly towards pursuing holiness. Now, when we live a manner where we have self-discipline, it helps us, regardless of our situations, both positively or negatively, in how we react to those situations. But in order to be a disciplined individual, it starts with you on a day-to-day basis. You can't just jump into self-discipline and assume that this is going to come easy. So when we have, though, this type of biblical self-discipline, it helps us to be positive in our thinking in our negative situations and our positive situations. When we experience success, we don't attribute that to ourselves, we attribute it to God. When we have failures, we don't attribute it necessarily to sin, but we see it as a way of God pruning us. Now, the disciplined life that we are to live must look towards God in all aspects of our life, not just in the good and not just in the bad, but in every aspect and in every situation. When we have a disciplined life that looks to God, it helps us to not think more highly of ourselves than we ought to think, but allows us to prefer other individuals over and above ourselves. So how do we incorporate self-discipline in our lives? Well, that's a good question, and I've got 6 easy steps. One, we have to set goals for ourselves, and these need to be attainable goals. And when you set these attainable goals, develop a daily plan on how you are going to accomplish these goals. And each one of these goals need to be synergistic in how they all flow together, and it should build upon one another, mainly getting you to that eventual goal that you want to establish. So you've got a lot of mini goals, or what I would call macro or micro goals, leading to the larger goal. So if your goal is to read scripture more, start daily with a plan that you're going to wake up, do it first thing in the morning, do it during your lunch break, and stick with that. Each goal should be directing towards that big picture, and you have to stick with that daily plan. So when you set those goals and you set that idea that you want to accomplish, if it's Bible reading, if it's working out, or whatever it is, set that goal, make it easy, attainable, and have checkpoints along the way as you are working yourself towards that. And another thing that I like to also tell people is have other individuals that know what you're working for and where you're working towards, and let them hold you accountable and ask them to ask you, how are you doing in those goals? See, that's what's great about the church and the fellowship and believers is having the ability to ask others to hold you accountable. And a lot of times accountability goes into something that would be of like preventing us from being in sin, which is a good way too, but also we can use accountability in helping us in pursuing self-discipline and holiness. Hope this helps you guys.